5, yes? Okay, two things. I was asked a question, which I think is good to start off with, about where did I start? Okay, as in, you know, what was the determinant between me going live and not? It was quite simple. So we would start trading, and when we got to the firm on day one, they put us in front of, not nice screens like this, okay? We had small little box screens, okay? And we had one screen to start off with. Nowadays you get like 6, because you can. You had one screen, and they put a ladder in front of us, and you could choose Euro stocks or German Bund, okay? And there was no charting platform, no. It was a price ladder, and that was it. That was how we started. So we watched a price ladder for a week or 2 or 3. And we then had to go and observe. I remember we had to write, what did you observe today? What did you learn today? What did you know, and this is all simulated. Okay, it was on a simulation. We then were told eventually that we could now have a chart. I hope you can all look at this and go, hey, that doesn't make sense, because nowadays I start with a chart and then I go, okay, we were taught price action at the start. Then we got a chart, okay? No one came to us and said, oh, by the way, when you see this candle, and this candle, you buy it. And there was none of that. There was, get up a chart, start observing things. What patterns do you recognize? Okay? Then what we would do is we'd go back and we'd say, okay, well, I'm seeing this thing where we have 3 green candles, I buy it and I lose money. And they'll go, oh, that's an interesting observation. Do it again tomorrow, see what happens. So we learned pattern recognition, how you're supposed to learn it, which is blank piece of paper, observe it for what it is, try and understand it, and develop from there. Not the other way around. Most traders, and when we talk about strategy development in part 3/4, I know a lot of people are hoping I'm going to reveal the great strategy. Okay, it doesn't work that way. What I need to reveal to you is the approach to develop your own form of pattern recognition. Okay, so that's how we started. We started with just pure price action. Then a chart, then, oh, you know what, actually I've noticed this line, moving average, when there's a trend and it comes back to it, if I buy it on that moving average, it tends to give me some money. So, okay, let me make a note of that. That's how we learn. No one taught us how to trade. Trading is self-taught. I hope by the end of today's session, you're all going to recognize that no one can give you the answers. Of course, I can point you in the right direction. Okay, I can teach you principles. I can guide you. I can get those foundations right for you. That I can do for you. Then you, at the end of the day, are going to have to develop that consistent approach to trading for yourself. That's how the game works. Okay, so fabulous question. And let's get going now with part 2. We spoke a lot about this pyramid. Okay, now, a lot of traders want strategies. I get that. You want to be told what to do. Okay, but the reality is, at the end of the day, if you haven't got the right foundations in place, it doesn't matter how many strategies I show you, you are going to lose money. You are going to end up falling by the wayside. Okay, and that's why today might not be the sexiest webinar for everyone. I get that. Okay, processes, templates, so he's showing us another tool. I get that. But the reality is you need those foundations if you want to become Mr. Consistent. Okay, Mr. Consistent was very successful because he spent 8 years developing those foundations, and now he is at the tip of the iceberg. Okay, so part 2. All you can do is persist, be self-reliant, practice, and be patient. Whether it takes you 1 year, whether it takes you 10 years, remember that why. You all wrote down why you want to be a trader. Okay, this is why I'm getting you to write that down, because if this takes you 10 years, right, that why needs to be strong enough to make sure you stay and stick around for those 10 years. That's the game of trading. Okay, no 3 easy steps, by the way. Unfortunately, the 3 easy steps don't exist. Okay, what we're going to do, session 2, we're going to talk about this concept of self-discipline. Okay, we're going to move on to decision making and how to make optimal decisions and what a framework looks like for optimal decision making. We're going to talk risk management, the one thing that you cannot find on YouTube because no one wants to teach risk management because, again, oh, it's boring talking about risk management. Let's rather talk about a strategy that goes up and we all make money. Okay, we're going to talk risk management. I'm going to introduce you to risk management so that hopefully by the end of this you walk away and you adopt a risk strategy. We're then going to talk about strategy characterization. Okay, very, very, very potent process for developing a strategy. Okay, remember what I showed you or told you at the beginning of the session when we spoke about how we started trading, where we learned to observe the market and learned to develop our own understanding? That's what strategy characterization is. It enables you to start to develop your own strategies. Okay, lesson outcomes, you're going to understand discipline. You're going to learn to implement a risk strategy. You will adopt strategy characterization. And hopefully you'll start to understand how you're going to get to that point of making more good decisions versus bad decisions. Okay, practical application. I'm going to take you through a risk questionnaire and a nice little exercise on strategy characterization. Now, you all watched that promo video, you know, where I went 3 easy steps and then I spoke about self-discipline. And this is a wonderful question that came up in the community chat. Someone asked me and they said to me, I really struggle with discipline. Okay, and I really wanted to, I know a lot of you listened to the promo video, but I really want to come back to this concept of discipline and self-discipline, because most traders, most advertising promo videos will go, how to become more disciplined. Okay, and they'll give you all the theory and the background behind understanding discipline, when in reality, discipline is nothing more than just understanding that you have got a limited amount of, call it self-discipline available. Okay, and that's this whole sort of analogy of a battery. Now, at the start of your fully charged battery, every decision you make over the course of the day, every stress environment that you come into, every good and bad thing, ultimately it's draining on that ability to be self-disciplined. And at some point you're going to deplete. Okay, at some point you're going to hit empty, and then the reality is, guess what? You're going to make bad decisions. Doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how successful you are, it doesn't matter how wonderful you think you are. The reality is, when you're running on empty, you are going to make bad decisions. Even Roger Federer makes bad decisions. Okay, the point is that Roger Federer knows when he's reaching that point, and then what does he do? He backs off. He takes the rest. He recovers, gets back to that point, and starts going again. Okay, this is something that was taught to me by my coach, and where he kind of started with this whole concept was, he always used to look at things as, every time you are stressing your environment, okay, you're taking a little bit of energy out of it. And all of that cumulative stress at some point adds up to too much, at which point you then start to break down, and then you are forced to recover. Okay, we all get that feeling where we feel run down, where we end up getting sick. Okay, being sick is nothing more than you've hit that point, but you're trying to go beyond it. And then the body says, sorry, I'm putting you in bed for a week. It forces you to take off, to stop. Okay, now as a trader, you don't want to get to that point, because if you get to that point, you come in, guess what? You are going to make horrible decisions on the day. That little monkey brain of yours is going to step in and say, I'm in charge now. And it doesn't matter how experienced you are, it doesn't matter, what run of form you're on. Okay, when you hit rock bottom, or when you hit that low point, you are going to be ineffective. Now, what are the things that ultimately recharge that battery, and what kind of drain on it? Okay, well, firstly, and this is just a number, and the important thing is for you to go and understand your self-discipline. What are the things that are draining from you that eventually get you to deplete it? So exercise, okay, is something that actually drains. Right? You get up in the morning, you exercise, you're exerting energy. The reality is you're draining on your battery. Okay, yes, you might feel good, you might feel, hey, this is really important to my day, but the reality is exercise is a stressor, and at some point it is going to run your battery down. Sleep. Okay, sleep recharges your battery. If you're sleeping 4 hours a night, you're getting a half charge. If you're sleeping 8 hours a night, you're getting a much better charge. Okay, sleep is crucially important. Meditation, and again, not the hum kind of meditation. We're talking about understanding your thoughts, the fast forward methodology. Any kind of form of just understanding and reflection, that's recharging your battery, because you're allowing yourself to become present moment. Okay, you're getting rid of some of the stresses in your life. Alcohol, okay, a horrible drain on your battery for a number of reasons. Okay, trade decisions. Okay, if you're taking a lot of trades in a day versus taking one trade a day, that's draining your battery faster and slower. Winning and losing. Okay, how often do we feel like we're on a horrible run of form and everything feels like it's going against us? Well, when we're losing, that battery drains a lot quicker. When we're winning, it drains slower. The point is that you need to look at discipline, not as, oh, today I came in and I didn't stick to my trade plan, I was ill-disciplined. That's rubbish. That's just too oversimplified. What you need to be looking at is, today I woke up, I was exhausted. I didn't do my meditation, I didn't sleep well last night. I took a trade that I wouldn't normally take, it was a gamble trade. Why did I get to, how did I arrive at that point? Is it a case of actually, you know what, it's a Friday, the last 4 days have been really, really hard work, it's a Friday, That bad decision was a result not because I'm ill-disciplined, but because I've arrived at that point. Okay, very, very important to understand that. Now, what's key with regards to this is just understanding the rate of change. Okay, you are all going to deplete your battery. You're all going to be lacking discipline at some point. What's important is to recognize where you are on that gauge. Where is that depletion level and what's draining it quickly? Get rid of that. And what kind of keeps that charge going? Okay, for me, I find sleep is extremely important. Okay, if I sleep well, this battery goes down a lot slower. When I start to reach that point, okay, I take the day off. I've got that policy in place. Right, so it's very, very important to understand what are the different things in your life. And I've just listed a few of them. There are many, many different things that will drain this battery. You need to know, one, what are the things that are affecting your battery? And ultimately, where are you on that gauge? When you start to reach the low point, do something about it. Don't think that just magically you're somehow different. You're not. We are all the same. Okay? We all only have a limited amount of capacity. When you start to reach the bottom, follow the policy. What does the policy say? Do you take a day off? Do you take an afternoon off? Do you maybe just not trade today? Okay? Do you go and spend some time doing something you enjoy? It's important to understand that. Okay? So it's not about discipline or not discipline. It's about where you're on that gauge. Okay? When you're on the low end, you're going to make bad decisions. And when you're on the top end, you can be effective. Okay, now, what is your policy for managing your levels of self-discipline? I think this is very important. If you can go away today and answer this question, that'll be crucial. Okay, stop seeing yourself as either disciplined or not disciplined. You're not. We're all ill-disciplined at some point in time. The difference between the top performing traders, the real elite performers, and I'm not talking just traders, I'm talking elite performers, is they know when to back off. They know when they're just not there. They know when they need to take that break. They know when they need that holiday. They know what they need to do when they start to deplete the battery. That's the difference between the top performing traders. Because what happens typically when we start reaching that lower point is, if you're not aware of it, you'll come and you'll make bad decisions. Okay? The result of those bad decisions is always going to be impactful on your performance. Now, what do you think is the instinctive reaction when you're starting to underperform? You try harder. You work longer. You just keep trying to go at it when your battery's drained. When in actual fact, what you should do is just say, I'm taking a step back from this, and I'll come back with some clean perspective. Okay? The top performing traders ultimately know when to step back. They step back, they've got their coping mechanisms, they recharge, they come back stronger. The poor performing traders, what do? We keep going at it, keep hoping somehow it's going to suddenly, I'm going to wake up one day, all of a sudden discipline. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so start seeing discipline in the right